You don't have to be the best. We live in a world of superlatives, and it makes me want to punch myself in the face. I can't stand it. It's just, oh, who's the best basketball player of all time? And what if Jack Nicklaus played Tiger Woods? Well, what happened if Tyson fought Muhammad Ali? It's like, well, these are hypotheticals that could never possibly happen. Why does somebody have to be the best? They were great. They were amazing. Who's the best comedian? Well, it depends. And when you talk about actors, who's the best actor? Well, in what genre and what form? What era? How do you pick that? It's art. That's like saying, who's the best painter? I like Chagall. I kind of like Chagall. I like some Dali, though. It depends. It's art. It's so subjective. So if everybody just kind of decided to just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be the best I can be.
Welcome to the Funny in Failure podcast, a podcast that celebrates failure and shines the light on the emotional side of comedy, with yours truly, Michael Kahan.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is one of the most empowering, insightful, hilarious chats we've had on the pod to date. Not only is Nolan extremely humble, but he has a deepness of thought, an empowering nature, which is something to be admired. What a legend. I love Nolan. This was a real treat. Wait till the end when you hear his insights on success and failure. It is simply mind-blowing. Okay, so let's get into it. Nolan North is an acclaimed American actor and voice actor, recently honored with the BAFTA Award for outstanding contribution to a performance in games. He's created some of the most beloved characters in games, setting the standard as a pioneer with a range of exceptional performances in the medium. In his 27-year career, he's portrayed characters in over 350 titles across gaming and animation. His portrayal as Nathan Drake in the acclaimed Uncharted series made him a household name. His other notable video game performance work includes roles as Desmond Miles in the Assassin's Creed series, David in The Last of Us, Ghost in Destiny and Destiny 2, the Penguin in Batman Arkham series, Deadpool, and Doctor Edward Richtofen in the Call of Duty games. His numerous animation credits include Rick and Morty, Star Trek Lower Decks, Blaze and the Monster Machines, TMNT, Dragons, Riders of Berk, and Family Guy. Nolan has also starred on screen in multiple TV shows and film. He got his start on ABC's Port Charles and went on to regular roles on the hit TV show Pretty Little Liars, as well as the Emmy-nominated series Con Man. As you can imagine, we dive deep and we cover a lot, and we chat about cosplay Nazis at conventions, pursuing baseball, working in journalism and stand-up, his many voices, life-changing advice from his brother, gratitude and enthusiasm, being your best, all with a lot of laughs. Before we get into this chat, in case you aren't aware, the videos are now available on YouTube under Michael Kahan. That's Kahan with a K, unless you're listening to it already. I'll still be posting snippets of these chats on Instagram under Funny and Failure, so check them out if you want to stay in the loop for upcoming episodes, or you want to ask a guest a question. I'd also love it if you would share the podcast or share your takeaways from the chat. It really motivates me, helps the podcast grow, and ensures I can lock in amazing guests like this one. And just as a final reminder, the podcast comes out every Monday at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, with the video to follow the following day. Anyway, sit back, relax, and enjoy today's epic episode.
This could be an interesting place to start. I know that you do a lot of Comic-Cons and conventions. What are some of the weirdest, or is there a weird request that sticks with you, or a funny encounter?
The most odd one was in London. I play Edward Richtofen from the Call of Duty series, the Zombies portion. And I get a lot of people come up dressed like Richtofen, and he's had multiple outfits. But someone came up in an actual World War II SS uniform, and I mean with the swastikas and the SS thing, and he said this is an actual. He says this is an actual. It's 100% wool. It's an actual German uniform from World War II, and I'm like, you should take that off.
Oh
and he's like, no, can I take a picture? I'm like, no, no, you can. There's not enough money in the world that's going to get me a picture in that. I said, no, you. I said, you know that Richtofen isn't a Nazi. He goes, no, he was German in World War II. I'm like, right, but he's a scientist who rejected them, went on his own. Just go back and read the lore. Oh God. And by the way, I mean, I tell people one of the highlights of my career has been making a World War II era German lovable. So that's one thing. But yeah, that was the strangest thing when he came up, and he ended up taking off the jacket, and because he wanted a picture, and I said, just take the jacket off. I'll take a picture with you and hold the ray gun, whatever. So he did that.
I have so many questions. Well, you're in a state of just like absolute panic and shock because you, like in a normal day today, you'd want to ask all these questions, but you're like, I can't be seen with this man. Was it a quick encounter? What happened afterwards, if you remember?
I think I turned to my rep who was there and at the table, and I think it was like, holy shit, he's gonna get his ass beat if he keeps walking around here with that. Which is rare for a Comic-Con. I mean, for a place that sells daggers and broadswords, you never really hear about a lot of violence. But no, I think we just laughed, and we kind of kept going, and then later on, you every now and then you take a break, and I was sitting having a cup of coffee, and we just looked at each other, and I was like, "Do you believe that?" I was like, because I mean, I've been all over the world. I've been to these Comic-Cons. It's a real treat. I really enjoy traveling and meeting people and doing this, and that was wonderful. I don't know if I have anything I could tell you that would compare to that.
No, I don't think anything can compare to that. That is, and did he think, like, was he a proud Nazi or?
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't a Nazi. He was just so proud that he had like a real authentic World War II to show me his cosplay, and I'm like, okay, there's so many things wrong with this cosplay. Number one, it's real. You are dressed. Somebody wore that and did horrible things. Especially it was SS. I mean, it was like I don't want to touch the material. It's like, oh, yeah, you need to. Yeah,
a lot of demons on that. I don't think I've ever been to Comic-Con or convention, but I've had a lot of guests that have been on. But I was working for Disney on Ice, and there was a Comic-Con or a convention above me, and it was also a furry convention. And I don't know if you know what that is. Okay, you
do. Actually, I've been in. Yeah, I know where you're going. And
I was just shocked. Well, you tell me. It looks like you've got an experience. You tell me.
No. A lot of times hotels in cities double book conventions, and it's just a treat for the senses. It is just, first of all, the Comic-Con, and I love them. I got to tell you, the energy there, the people are so happy.
Nice.
And there are people of, there's every color, creed, every part of this planet shows up at a Comic-Con, and everybody loves each other, and everybody's like, can I take a picture with you? Hey, I love your costume. I mean, it is, there's so much. I mean, I don't want to like, isn't this sweet? I don't mean to be corny. If the world could emulate a Comic-Con, we'd be fine.
Oh, cool.
There are people speaking different languages. It doesn't matter. I mean, I've had people with the Uncharted series, guy dressed up as Nathan Drake, and his girlfriend or wife is Elena. And then then there's sometimes the guy just goofing around. He's Elena and she's Nathan Drake. And it's just like, this is a party. I don't want to know what happens in their hotel rooms later. Although it happened to me one time. I heard what happened. I had a room next to a room. They get after it. Let's just go there. That's all I'm going to say. They get after it. They're loud. I called my wife and put her on speaker. I said, you got to hear this. This, I don't know. I think there's like 6 people in there dressed like hobbits.
Oh,
and they are just defiling the Shire right now. It was somebody screamed Frodo at the height of climax. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think it was Aston. Was he there? Could have been Dominic Monaghan. He might have you never know what he's going to do. Kidding. I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, but sometimes you had those people, then there'd be another convention double booked in that hotel. And I've seen all sorts of things. And it's just like, this is amazing. This is their hobby. I love it. And I love it. I do. And I know a lot of people like to make fun. It's like, really? Like, I like to golf. And that's boring for most people. I like it. And I know some people make fun of it. So why would I make fun of someone if they want to dress up like Zelda, for a week? That's good. God bless you. I think hobbies like that just take us out of the shitstorm that this world presents to us on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's great that people are able to have that outlet. And
I agree.
I love going and experiencing it with them. I really do.
I agree. We talk I really like the idea of conventions and Comic-Cons, and I'll get into that in a sec. I'll just say my furry story, because I was working Disney on Ice, so there's a whole bunch of kids, and then above us was a furry convention, and the security guards told me that on the last day they all go into a room dressed as animals, they flick all the cameras up, and no matter what they hear, because they hear screams and animal noises, and they said all types of animal noises, they're not allowed to go in. And that completely changed it's like, everyone has an outlet, so I'm kind of proud of them, kind of scared, but whatever works.
Well, I have so many questions. I do remember, like, there was the furry convention, the furries, and I remember I've seen that before. But to imagine that, like, what those cameras could see.
They'd have to get new cameras replaced, and hundreds of $1,000s worth of cameras.
Yeah, there's probably a lot of moisture in that room. Let's just put it that way.
I think they need a proper, like, a cleaning team. Like, like when there's like a murder site, you don't want to.
Yeah, they have to have someone come in with bleach and propane and fire and like
grenades as well.
No, oh, the smell, just that
the fumes,
sweat fog of human
everything,
furry butter everywhere.
I just couldn't believe that they would do that above a Disney convention, Disney on Ice.
Oh, but, yeah. Well, yeah, why not? Ha! Oh, boy. Furries are getting after it.
I wish you could be the MC of an event like that. I hope you can participate if you want, but just doing the noises, the voices would be amazing.
Exactly.
I love the idea of Comic-Con to conventions. It's a newer topic to me, but I've had a lot of guests, and they talk about how amazing it is not only to just meet the fans, and yet a really poetic way of saying, like, the world would be a great place if we're all like conventions and Comic-Cons.
It really is.
Are you surprised? Like, I know you've been doing this for almost 30 years. Are you surprised that if someone would have told you almost 30 years ago that, you'd be able to do this and like headline so many events and travel the world, would you believe that?
No. No. I mean, I could never have dreamed this big.
Oh, nice.
I never could have. It just was, I didn't grow up wanting to be an actor. But when I did become an actor, everybody was like, oh, well, finally, of course. I was the kid, that my parents would wake me up when I was 9 and, to tell jokes to their drunk friends at a dinner party downstairs. I was the one at Thanksgiving up on the coffee table, doing impressions of my family. But it was just, it was just a way to get attention. I mean, if we're going into like the armchair therapist, it was the way I got attention, the way that adults recognized me and people recognized me. I was a very late bloomer in school. So, when I got married, my wife came across my graduation picture from high school when I was like 18. And she thought she said, "Oh, you're so adorable. What are you, like 12, 13 in this picture?" And when I looked at it, I would, if that wasn't me, I'd go, "Yeah, that's clearly that kid's like 13." So that being funny or goofing around was something that got girls' attention. It didn't work for years. It didn't work. But you're so cute. You're like my brother. He's like my little brother. I think he's so sweet. And I'm just this raging hormone going, yeah. But it was just my outlet. It was just my way. I really didn't have a plan. So when I did get into the business and started working, and all of a sudden one thing leads to another, and then you realize you're not just booking jobs, you now have a career, and it just starts, they say the old saying, work begets work.
Yep.
A series of jobs became a career, and it's been a good run so far. Let's just put it that way. But I'm not done. I'm not done.
I'm glad you put it out there. We were very aware. There's so many things that I could say to this, but I think it's amazing. And you have quite the journey of even getting into acting, for example. And I'd love to know why you decided to finally, pull the trigger. I know that you studied journalism off a baseball scholarship. You then got into reporting. And I'd love to know what made you actually decide that you're going to, do the acting, because it didn't seem like it was there at that stage.
No, it was process of elimination. I had done everything else. This was the next step. My dream as a kid was to be a pro baseball player. I'm named after Nolan Ryan, a very famous baseball player. And I did pretty well, and got to the University of North Carolina, got to, play there for a couple of years before I hurt myself. And the thing is, I remember going there and being around players who were so much better than me. On their worst day, they were better than me on my best day. Mm-hmm. And I realized I did learn early. I really remember I was a pitcher, and I remember not wanting to get into the game because I was goofing around with my friends on the bench, just goofing around, entertaining. This is all in hindsight. Praying I wouldn't get into a game because, oh no, I'm not ready because, I'm working on this impression, whatever. And it was those friends on that team actually that got me to, we went to a stand-up club one night, and after a few beers, they were like, "You're funnier than these guys. You should do this." And I'm like, "I'd do it." And they were like, "No, you won't. I bet you're $20." And it was like $20 each. And I think there were 7 guys. There was 8 of us there that night, or 7 of us. So it was six guys, including me. Well, yeah, this is 1990. And they were like, "Yeah, you won't do it." So yeah, it was 7 of us because it was $120, 6 guys. And I made $120 because they let me go up, and I just got up there and started doing stupid impressions and told a couple jokes, and the people laughed. And the guy at the club said, "Hey, that's pretty good. If you want to, you want to MC, I'll give you $20 a show. You just come down, you introduce, you can do some of your act, and then you introduce the comedians that are traveling through. We have shows at 8 and 11. I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. Just like Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah, why not? And then they had a one Sunday show, and I remember sitting there going, 48. I'll make $100 just to come up here and just tell jokes, and it didn't last forever, but it was kind of my introduction to that kind of thing, and it felt good. It was like one of those things that kind of worked. And then I did a stand-up thing where I got a contest on campus, and I won this. I was one of the finalists in the contest, and I got to open for George Carlin in front of 13,000 people. And you only had like 5 minutes to 5 minutes, and I remember I did my I think it's 5 to 7 minutes, and I was done in 5, because it's like you're just like yep, just rattling it off. But I do remember I had one thing. I don't remember the joke, but something hit, and you could only see the first 2 rows of a big stadium like that. And I hit a joke, and you actually hear the laughter from all that many people, and it was like a drug, just filled my body. I was like, oh. But the bad thing is, I was supposed to introduce the next comedian, completely forgot his name, got so nervous. When I went into it, I wasn't nervous because I had my thing, and it was like taking the mound when you're pitching. Here I come, do your thing. But when what is that? Thank you very much. And he's looking at me, and I go, your next comedian, let's give him a big round of applause. And then I just walked off like a total idiot. But yeah, so, okay, that still is college, and it doesn't make a difference. You have to have a real job. I was dating someone who was going to law school in Boston, and so I went up to Boston to join her, and I ended up going to graduate school for broadcasting, because I had a great degree from North Carolina, but because I had been playing baseball, I didn't have any internship experience or anything like that. So I went there, did that, and ended up right at graduation going and getting a job for a WTZA in like Poughkeepsie, New York. And I'll never forget, my first story as a reporter was a black bear got stuck in a tree at the Woodstock, New York Country Club. And I had to go and report on it. Wow. Big breaking news.
Game changing.
Game changing. And the truth is, I then moved to like Stamford, Connecticut to a bureau, then into New Jersey to a bureau. And in New Jersey, life got real. It was Newark teen shot, Jersey City house fire, murder in the South Orange Reservation, where I saw the detective open the suitcases to 2 bodies, no heads, no hands, no feet.
Whoa.
Just torsos and legs and arms, just all mangled up, and you just sort of, and I saw a lot of things I won't go into, but I saw a lot of things that what people can do to each other in a very short time, and I realized, and I was on my way. I was on my way to getting to the.
You offered a head anchor, weren't you?
Yes, for that station. I was offered it the day I quit. I had a moment in my life where just I was not happy. A friend of mine, I did a play too my last year in college, and it went really well. It was really fun. And a friend of mine, he was in New York where I lived at the time, and worked in New Jersey, lived in New York City, and he had a play, and he said, you should come do this. He said, I think you'd be perfect for this. And I said, I haven't done anything since that one in college. And I went and did it. It's like no money. It was, and it was, I mean, I probably lost money. It was the best experience. It was so much fun.
Oh, nice.
It was creative, and it was one of those things that made me go, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm not making much money. I don't like what I do. I always thought I'd get to, Sports Center at ESPN and, doing that stuff, or the, Good Morning America, wake up early in the morning. Today, well, there's a 100-year-old man who has a pumpkin the size of a Volkswagen Beetle. These fun, stupid crap, and instead I have to go talk to families whose, son was murdered in the street. It just was awful. So I did that, and I ended up just breaking up with my girlfriend, and I drove to Florida to see my brother, who's always kind of been like an anchor in my life. And I stayed down there for like 2 weeks, took time off, like emergency time off. And that's when I went down there and decided, he actually told me, he said, if everybody were gone, they didn't exist, they're dead or whatever, they just didn't exist, and you woke up one morning and it's just you, and you have nobody else that you have to impress or think, what would you do with your life? What would you want to do? And I started to answer. He goes, no. He said, take 24 hours. He said, I'm going to work tomorrow. You go work out. I was working. I said, you go work out, hang out, really think about this, and we'll sit down tomorrow night and we'll do it. And literally the next day we sat down. He goes, what do you got? And I said, I want to be an actor. Cool. He goes, an actor? And I said, yeah. He goes, have you ever acted? And I said, I did a play in college. And then I just did that one, 2-week run, that thing. He goes, okay. That's harder than becoming a professional baseball player, right? And I said, yeah, I don't care. And he goes, okay, then you should absolutely go for it. He said, because you have given me laughing fits till I'm having asthma attacks. He said, you have entertained everyone in this family. He said, there is no doubt in my mind that you can't make it if you put your mind to it. And I just was like, really? And he goes, yeah, really. And I was like, all right. And I drove back to New York, and I called to give my 2 weeks notice. And I'll never forget, she was wonderful. Kathy Gazda.
Is this the broadcaster?
She was the news director at WTZA. And I called her. She said, oh, I'm so glad I got you. Our head anchor has left the station, and you've been doing fabulous work, and we wanted to offer it to you. You'd have to come up here if that's okay. You'd have to move up here. I said, I'm calling to give my 2 weeks notice. And I'll never forget, she was like, what? Oh shit! Hold on. I'm going to my office. And she went to her office and whatever, and we talked for a while, and I told her what I was going to do, and she said, you know something? I have regrets in I'll never forget her. She said, I've had regrets in my life that I didn't take the chances I needed to when I was younger.
Wow.
So I say you go for it, and I wish you all the best. And if it doesn't work out or you change your mind, she said, find me and you'll always have a job at a news station. And I was like, she was fantastic. And and I and it was that moment where people were like, my mother went crazy. She said, what are you doing? You're throwing your life away. And it was one of those things. I said, I'd rather be broke and happy than have a paycheck and be miserable. It just didn't jive with my personality. And fortunately, everything worked out. I started doing theater in New York. I was doing stand-up at a place that literally they would give you a free appetizer and a beer, domestic. You couldn't get a Bass Ale. You had so I was like that. But man, the chicken tenders, that was dinner, And I was broke. I lived with my buddy who wrote that play,
Nice.
and we had. And I actually, the sad thing is, not sad, ironic. I made more money bartending and at a temp agency a week than I did as a reporter, like doubled what I was making.
Really?
Oh my God, it was unbelievable. When you start out in journalism, there's not much money, if any. Um, uh, I mean, I remember I sold my car. I was like, I don't need a car. I had to have the car because I was in New York going to New Jersey every day, and that was my transportation. It was crazy. So, but yeah, and then did it for about a year, and then we got drunk one night, my buddy and I, and he said, "You should go to California. They don't care if you didn't go to Yale drama school," because I wasn't getting any auditions for like the higher level plays. And I was like, "Yeah," and I did. I took golf clubs, bag of clothes, and I got a one-way ticket to L.A. And 7 months later, I had a 5-year contract on ABC.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
That was with the spin-off of Children's Hospital.
General Hospital.
General, sorry, yeah. So I got 1,000 points, and holy shit, what a moment with that lady, and also your brother. For your brother to get you to think about what's important to you, not say like you've got 24 hours, don't come back to me, so you can actually really dive into it and think about it. That is life-changing. And then to kind of, not that you need the approval, but to see your brother say, you know what, go and do it. It's so powerful, especially to hear that from someone you love and respect. I had this lady on this podcast, Bronnie Ware, and she has written a book called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And essentially, it's a best-selling book, international best-selling book. And essentially, she was a palliative care nurse, and she would ask those that were of sound mind, her clients, what their biggest regrets were. And it was a real game-changing book for me, real game-changing conversation. But essentially, the book is around I think the number one regret was, I wish I'd lived the life that I wanted to live and not the life I thought others wanted me to live. And it sounds like you learned that at such an early age where, you could put all of that to the side. You realized that money wasn't the number one factor at that stage. It was about you living a happy life, and living a life where you don't feel fulfilled would just lead to unhappiness, which is pretty brave, especially at a young age. So I'd love to know a little bit more.
Yeah, I find that I've had people say that. They said, it's such a brave decision. It never felt that way to me. It never felt like a brave decision. It was just, no, this is what I'm going to do. And it's all going to work out. There was never people, I meet people like we talked about the conventions, and what advice would you give my son? He wants to be an actor. I'm like, no plan B. No plan B. All in, balls to the wall. They're like, no, he should go to law school. That's another choice. I'm like, if he wants to go to law school, yeah. By the way, I temper that, so I don't necessarily always give that advice anymore. But I did no plan B. It was just sort of like, no, I'm going to go do this. And maybe you can even take that in kind of the, it doesn't have to be the literal sense. You can have a backup plan if it makes you comfortable, but I didn't. And I didn't not have a backup plan because I'm brave. I didn't have a backup plan because I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do. It never crossed my mind like, you might not make it. It just didn't cross my mind, which is incredibly irresponsible if I were my dad. It's incredible. It's like, what are you thinking? But, we're here for such a short time. Somebody said that the other day. They said, if you live to be 85, that's 85 summers. And you don't remember the first few, so maybe you remember 80. And I remember thinking to myself, imagine if you had $81 bills. If you're lucky, you get and every year on your birthday, you have to, just turn it in or burn it, whatever. It's gone. Now you get 79 and you're 6 years old. But then, you're 30 and you only have 50 left. I'm 52. I got 33 summers. My dad passed away last year at 86. I would have I'll be 53 this year. I'll have, on my birthday, I'll have 33 summers left.
Or more.
Or, yeah, but I might be shitting my pants by the time I'm that age. And I'll be like, please take me, God. We don't know. We don't know, or less. That's the other thing. Or more. Yeah, that's sweet. But you could have less. You could get hit by a car. You could, something horrible could happen. Or you could just, something, you don't know. It's, tomorrow's promised to no one, whatever. So I don't believe in regrets. I don't believe in having regrets. I think you have to. I knew people who had regrets, and they couldn't go back and fix it. So it's like, well, just a baseball is a perfect example. I remember, I can honestly say it now, enough times passed. I know, I have friends who played in the major leagues. My nephew is the hitting instructor for the Tampa Rays right now. I know guys and what that talent is. I didn't have the talent. I just didn't. I didn't have the physical talent to do it. I was good at it up to a certain point, and then you just see the next level. I was saying that earlier. You see that next level.
Yeah.
But my one thing that I always learned, and another thing instilled by my brother was, work hard, work your tail off. So if the day comes when they say you're done, you're not moving on to the next level of this sport, you have no regrets. You can't look and go, gosh, if I had just gone to the gym, more, if I had done, I gave everything I could. I got every ounce of talent I had, which wasn't enough, but and I have no regrets walking away from that. And I've passed that on to my kids. They've done that. And I think that's the one good strong thing I've done as a parent is say, listen, I remember telling both my kids, I said, just remember, and one of them was, it applied to both of them, but my youngest one ended up playing college football, and but he was a good soccer player. He ended up being a kicker in college, and I said, just remember, before, I don't remember when it happened, I just said, listen, you don't have to be the best. You just have to be your best. And it was one of these things, and I remember he looked at me, he goes, wow, dude, that's really profound. And I went, yeah. And he goes, who said that? I'm like, I just did. And he goes, no, somebody said that. I said, no, I don't think I've ever read that somewhere. I'm not claiming it, but it just came to me. It's like, it passed it on to them for anybody. You don't have to be the best. We live in a world of superlatives, and it makes me want to punch myself in the face. I can't stand it. Right. It's just, who's the best basketball player of all time? And what if Jack Nicklaus played Tiger Woods? Well, what happened if Tyson fought Muhammad Ali? It's like, well, these are hypotheticals that could never possibly happen. Why does somebody have to be the best? They were great. They were amazing. Who's the best comedian? Well, it depends. So when you talk about actors, who's the best actor? Well, in what genre and what form? What era? How do you pick that? It's art. That's like saying, who's the best painter? I like Chagall. I kind of like Chagall. I like some Dali, though. It depends. It's art. It's so subjective. So if everybody just kind of decided to just say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to be the best I can be. I don't have to be the best, because that's competitive now. And when people get like that, I've got to be the best. Especially in my business, I've found, like, I don't begrudge anybody else their success. This is a really hard business to make a living at. And yeah, I could tell you names of people that I don't think are very good actors, but hey, good for them. You beat the system. Yeah, you're making a bunch of money. Now, if they act like an asshole, I have no sympathy. But
Yep.
it's like if you know you're not very good, you better be grateful at least. But when you don't look at life or your business as everything's a competition with someone else, you just try to be your best. I think it's one of the things I really enjoy about golf. You don't necessarily play the other guy. You play the course and you play yourself. It's a mind game. It's how good can I be on this certain day under these conditions, and I'm going to go play and then look up at the end and go, did I win or not? Oh, wow, he shot 2 better. Wow, good for him. It's empowering, I think, when you lose the idea because people put so much pressure on themselves to be the best. When it's like, just be your best. And guess what? Your best might not be as good as that guy's best. It's just the way it is. That's what you learn in sports. I was the best pitcher I could be. I could play in college for a couple of years and not even play that much. It's like, it just is what it is. And some guys go on to play in the major leagues for years. They don't go to the Hall of Fame. And then some guys play for years and they go to the Hall of Fame. Like, wow. But you know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
I just think it's a very important thing to kind of, if you wrap your head around that, you take so much pressure off yourself. And again, we're here for such a short time. Why make it difficult? I mean, the rest of the world will make it difficult on you. You don't need to do it to yourself.
I agree. I was just jotting down like 100 points, and one of the key ones that I wrote while you were speaking is the less pressure, because you're talking about society and how we focus on who's the best. But it's, to me, whether you do this every day or not, it's about like being better than you were. Not necessarily yesterday, because sometimes it's we can take a step backwards. But when we compete on ourselves, that pressure goes away. We're working on ourselves. It just, to me, feels so much lighter, because I had to change my mentality. Because when I first started, I have to be the best writer in the world. And I realized, what does that even mean? It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. I can't control what anyone else does. And then it allowed me to come more from gratitude when someone else like succeeds, for example. Good for them, like you said, when you're playing golf. And it just feels like you shed 50 kilos. It's so much lighter.
Yeah, and you have to understand that in our business as writers, as actors, directors, whatever, I guarantee, take Uncharted, for example, Nathan Drake. There were better actors auditioned for that role. It wasn't that I was the best. I was just the right fit. I was the right one. And I learned this, the best things that, God bless Amy Hennig, who created Uncharted. She invited me to help cast Uncharted 2, 3, and beyond. So,
oh, nice.
So if somebody came in to read with me, they would read with me, and then thanks so much, good to see you, take care, and then they'd leave, and we'd turn around, and we had their picture and their name and everything, and we just kind of jotted down notes. Okay, what did you think? And Gordon Hunt, the director, Amy, the other producers, we would talk it over. And many of the people who came in to read for that game were good friends of mine. And here's what I learned. Everybody was really good. But that guy was right. That woman was right for the role. It fit that, right? And to a person, everyone was like, yep. I remember we read for Chloe Fraser, trying to figure out who it was. And in walked Claudia Black, straight from the airport, hair everywhere, Aussie. Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, the back and plane goes light. Again, all right, what are we doing? Oh, sides high, Nolan North. And she just goes off. And I was like, oh, my God, that's Chloe. before she even started reading it. You were like, this is, and then she read it and she was great. And it was like, that's, and you felt bad for all the people who read earlier, but she read it in a way that she was Chloe. It was like, oh, that's her. It was simple. It was so easy. But the people who didn't get that, if they went and were pissed, man, I'm so, I thought I did a good job. Like, you did. You did a really good job. You just weren't right for that one. But you know what? I'll tell you, we remember the people who are really good, and we read them again for Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. And that's what I tell young actors. I said, you go into every audition, and if you don't get it, doesn't mean you're not going to get something down the line. The casting directors, you have to, it's a process. And more actors will quit and walk away, give up, because, it's just not for me. But if you're going in there, and I guess what I'm saying, it goes back to your point. You wake up every day going, I just need to be the best I can be. It's a perfect advice for an actor. Don't be the best, because you're never going to be the best. I don't care how much training, how many movies you do. I think Gary Oldman is a genius. Is he the best? No. Who's the best then, Nolan? I don't know. What do you like? I mean, what, some people may think it's Richard Burton. Some people might think it's Adam Sandler. I mean, and they're not wrong. It's art. It's subjective. It's your opinion. And I just applaud that. And I just think there's room for everyone. If everyone just stops trying to, I know I got to stop him from getting the job. No, just concentrate on you getting that job. I don't know.
Agreed. And to me, that goes into like a success mindset where if you can see someone like you like or a peer and they do well, you can actually emulate or learn from them, still being yourself and succeeding. Like there's 2 points I want to say, like Adam Sandler, for example, Adam Sandler, what an Adam Sandler film is, or what he's genuinely going to portray because he brings himself to it. And it's him not trying to be someone else. Yes, he can play different roles. And I think that's really important. It's being the best that you can be. You know who Adam Sandler is to a degree. But one point actually that I want to go on this is, this actually ties in really well. The worst audition you ever had where you called your manager up and it ended up, I'd love for you to speak to that.
It was HBO's Big Love. And the scene, I remember going in and doing it and feeling really good about it. And getting the next step was a callback. You go back, you do a callback. Then they had a second callback, the final callback. And, it's down to you and just a few other guys. And now I realize that the scene is with Harry Dean Stanton, phenomenal actor, old-time pro vet. I mean, it was like, now I really want this. And I went in, I prepared, and I went in, and you start doing the thing, and as everyone's around the table, and people are smiling, nodding, and you're aware that they're smiling and nodding, and you're like, I got this, and then I'm like, then you realize, I'm sorry, can we start again? And you do that once, okay. And then I could not get my focus back, and I just kept botching it. Finally, after stopping 2 or 3 times, finally, and starting again, and I'm so sorry, and just felt like I just blew it. I blew it. I absolutely blew it. And I got in the car, and I remember like hitting the steering wheel like in a movie or something. I got on the freeway, and I called I was just so pissed. I called my manager. Hey, how'd it? He said, hey, and I said, well, listen, I blew it. Sorry. I'm just going to take ownership of it. This is how I feel. And I went on this, how I just, and I was prepared. I don't know what happened. And finally he said, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. He said, okay. He said, so, well, I guess don't let that happen again, right? And I'm like, yeah, no, I won't. It will never happen again. He goes, okay, good. So actually, I just got off the phone with them, and they booked you for Thursday, Friday, and they're going to hold you for Monday if they don't get through it. And I was like, wait, what? And I remember I could take you off the 5 freeway in California, where I pulled off because I at this exit and just sat on the side, listened to him on the phone, and go, wait, what? He said, yeah, you're booked. I don't know what you did, but they've already booked you. Right away when you, and it was about a week later, I went back and I worked, and on one of the breaks, one of the EPs was there, and he said, hey, you having a good time? I said, I'm a great time to work with Harry. This is amazing. And I said, I got to tell you, I can't believe I'm here. He said, why? I said, well, I botched my whole audition. That final callback was terrible. I felt great on the first 2, and I just had one of those days, and I was so off, and I kept starting it, and he went, you did? I said, yeah, and he goes, huh? He said, well, I just, we had seen your tape, and, I don't remember that day, but, you just look like a Mormon lawyer. And I was like, oh. And the funny thing is, it's like, what I took out of that, he goes, I don't remember that day. I put so much pressure because my whole work, it was like all self-absorbed that, I walked out of there going, they are laughing. They're like, why would you bring that guy in here? He was terrible. And the thing is, he goes, no, you weren't bad. We'd seen the tape. I mean, I don't remember that. I remember him saying, I don't remember that day, what you did, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, you're here. Haha. All right. See you on set. I'm like, okay. And I learned, it was just, these little things teach you lessons. These little hiccups, these speed bumps, whatever they are, they're your journey. And everyone has different ones, but it's don't discount them. They're crucial to development.
Well, it's remarkable how what you thought was the worst audition ends up, not only do you get the role, but you still think about it today. So it means you've improved in your craft and,
Yeah, and vice versa. One of my best auditions, not even a callback. Yeah, nothing. Just went in there, crushed it. Didn't even get a callback. And you're like, what? No, but it wasn't right. I wasn't right. And I remember when that thing actually, I don't remember what it was, but I remember watching it, and it was a guy who was older. They went with somebody older and everything, and I was like, wow, how did they get that? It was, I never, seeing what they cast, I never have a shot. Again, my point, it doesn't matter how good you were, are you right? Yes, you have to prepare, you have to, you have to know what you're doing. You have to, work at it, get experience anywhere you can. But, when you get to a certain point, you just have to trust who you are and what you do. And
agreed.
That's it.
One of your colleagues, I don't know if you've worked with him, Gary Anthony Williams. And
yeah, I know Gary.
Yeah, and he said the best story of all time. He was auditioning, this is when he was a lot larger. He was auditioning, so I don't know, his 30s or 40s or whatever, it doesn't really matter, to play a teenage white Southern girl, and he got the role. And it just stuck with it. And, it goes back to what you're saying. Sometimes you're right for the role, sometimes you're not. But I'm intrigued. So with that mindset and knowing the industry, do you still get annoyed or let down if you don't get a role? What's kind of the process now?
I don't get annoyed. Yeah, I mean, there's certain roles that you'll read for that just speak to you, resonate with you, and you really feel like you can do something special with that, and you really feel connected to the character, and you really work on it, and and what you do, an actor's job is to take all those feelings and show. The audition is your audition. People always get that wrong. They're like, I got to get this job. I got to audition for them. It's like, no, you're going to give them, here's what I would do with this character. And if it jives with what they're thinking or you spark something new, you get the role. It's as simple as that. You're only responsible to do your part, to show them here's my interpretation of what you sent me. See what you think about this. That's that. That said, if something really resonates with me and I don't get it, of course you feel disappointed because, I can see myself playing that role and this is how I would do it. And I think I would love this and just to be part of this world or this, whatever that script is all about. But ultimately that show comes out or something, you watch it and you go, that's the way they went. Oh, interesting. I couldn't do that. Whoever that guy does that better than I do. I did it. I would have done it this way. And that's not what they were that's not kind of their vision. And you have to respect that somebody has an overall vision. And unless you come in, there are stories now when somebody, if Brad Pitt comes in and they're like looking for a certain version that isn't Brad Pitt, but he does something interesting, and they go, well, I didn't see it that way, but I think I kind of like that. You can flip it. And of course, with somebody like Brad Pitt, they're like, he's going to sell the movie. Let him do it any way he wants. There's that facet too.
Yeah.
But I always approach auditioning. I'm going to do it the way I see it, the way I know I could portray this best. If that aligns with what they want, what they're looking for, perfect, great. Let's sign contracts. But if it doesn't, that's fine. And you wait for the next one. And then you do the same thing. That's the only way, because nobody else can audition like me. Nobody else, I don't, back to one of the roles, my best audition. I did this audition. I don't remember what it was, but I remember I was upset because I was like, I nailed that. Why? I mean, we did it twice and I mixed it up a little bit. And I went back to my acting coach I was working with at the time. I said, I'm dizzy. He said, you got to let it go. I'm like, I know I will, but I crushed this and I don't know what was missing. So we ran it a few times and I learned something. I didn't crush it as much as I thought I did. It was very, very valuable. At one point he stopped. He goes, I know what the problem is. I said, what? He said, I don't remember what it was. I think it was a lawyer, something. But he said, you're playing Dave, the lawyer. I said, yeah. He goes, you're playing Dave, the lawyer, but you should play Nolan, the lawyer, who happens to be named Dave. And I remember this light bulb going off, going, oh my gosh, I was playing a character. And you really can only do that in like SNL sketches. You play a character, and then you go to the next one because it's only 3 minutes long at the most. It's like, I wasn't really, I was playing it a certain way that Dave, the lawyer, would be, rather than, here's Nolan, the lawyer, and yeah, my name's Dave. And when I started doing that, I started booking more.
Wow.
Just finding that, playing characters, but, stopping the pretense that, well, maybe my character walks like this. No, he walks like you. Unless he has, in the script, the writer has said, he has a severe limp on his right leg. Otherwise, just friggin' walk. Don't make your character choice. No, get out of your head, say the words, be truthful to the material, and see what happens.
That's awesome. Okay, I've still got like 200,000 questions. This is actually a topic that I'm obsessed with, is play and fun. And, I used to be an accountant, and then now I'm doing this, and it's actually fun. But I was never told that you could actually have a career where you could play and have fun. And for you, and you've spoken about it here and you've spoken about it in other interviews, you always mention play and fun. And I think that's such a crucial element in life, because we don't need to be doing something our whole life where it's miserable and your back's against the wall. And I want to tie this in. I believe you had a teacher that gave you detention for the exact opposite reason. Yeah, you're smiling. So I'd love to know, what is your, I'd love for you to tell us that story, and also like what your relationship with play and fun is in your life and your career.
Yeah, I think I think we take life so seriously, and I think it's why you have to take care of your responsibilities and be an upright civil citizen. I think one of the things that I always try to find the humor in life, because I think it's silly. I think it's ridiculous that we even exist. Without, I'm not trying to get deep here. It's ridiculous. A lot of when I did do stand up, a lot of it was about just the absurdity. People, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. The miracle that we even get together to procreate at some point. Have you ever seen a lion in the jungle? They have to literally, they literally just, it's like jungle rape, for God's sakes. The lion is just like, ah, and the female's scratching at him. He's like, no, I gotta put a baby in you. It's hard. This is crazy. This our existence is insane. That said, I think we just find the absurdity in life. It is, and in terms of this craft, I think playing, the best actors are kids. I've said this a bunch. It's just, you watch 5, 6, 7-year-olds running around the backyard, and they have a tree house, and one day that's a pirate ship, and the stick in their hand is a sword, and they're finding the gold somewhere. Next day, that from experience, it's the Millennium Falcon, and it's the big fight is like, who's Han Solo, who's Luke? Tall kid, you got to be Chewie. But I want to be Han. You're the tall kid. You got to be Chewie. It's just a thing. My friend Todd Stashwick, we had a very similar childhood, and he has a great story about his friend who he would only let him play Chewie. Anyway,
Oh, nice.
but you watch those kids. You watch kids play. They're just completely involved. They're absorbed in that character, and they're just making it and it's real. It feels so real. And they're not the kind of mom runs out and goes, "Who's hungry? Damn it, Mom, you broke our focus. All right, everybody, back to zero. We'll start again. The ship has just landed. Action." No, they just go, "Peanut butter and jelly, yeah," and they just keep going. Now, yes, there's technical sides to the craft. There's all that stuff. But at its core, I truly believe that just playing, and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's somebody said, what do you think the best attribute an actor should have? I said, the ability to make an ass of themselves and not be self-conscious about it. It's like, you're going to do some ridiculous things. You're going to have to, look at some woman that isn't your wife and tell her you love her, and you can kiss her on the lips. It's absurd, but it's playing. It's acting. And yes, the quick story with I had a teacher. I was always talking in class, and I doing silly voices. And I remember, I was doing Ed Grimley. I think that's what it was. I was doing, I must say, Pat Sajak's the greatest, I must say. And I was trying to get girls to pay attention to me. And finally, Mr. Fish at the junior high had it. And I got detention, and I sat down, and I pulled out my homework. He said, "Put that away." And I said, "Can't do my homework?" He said, "No, I want you to sit there and think about where these silly voices are going to get you someday." and it's like, it seems like, oh, that didn't happen, and it did happen. And I was in Orlando at one of the conventions, bringing it back around to the beginning of this,
Oh,
and a guy I knew in junior high, who was in my homeroom, was there, and he said, "Do you remember when Mr. Fish?" He had never seen an interview. Remember when Mr. Fish told you that you got your stupid voices and you got detention? And I remember looking at him and go, and my rep who was with me, just his eyes like saucers. He goes, "That's really true." I'm like, "Of course it's true." I said, "Thank you." He goes, "Yeah, I remember." He said, "I got detention that day. I was in the room." And I was like, "Oh, wow." So it was very cool to be,
you should email
yeah.
him.
God, we laughed about that.
Oh, you've met him since.
No, the teacher?
Yeah.
No, the guy in Orlando, and I said, "I wonder what Mr. Fish is doing." He said, "I think he's dead." And I went, "Oh, I hope so." And he was like, and there were people around going, "That's terrible." I'm like, he was mean." No, he wasn't mean. He was actually a very nice guy. It was just that moment was one of those things where, it's just, and he's probably alive. God, funny thing is, I was thinking about that. I said, I don't know what it is, but when you're a kid, everybody seems so old. Like he might have been 30
Yeah.
when I was 13. You know, so it's like, so he's like, he could be in his 70s, he could be 80. I don't know, but I thought he was kind of cool. He was all right. He wasn't too bad. But think about where those stupid voices are going to get you, and it's like,
It's crazy how, despite, you didn't say this on this chat, but, you're living in your car, you had a teacher or an authority figure saying, you shouldn't be doing this. It made you reflect on it. Hopefully you reflected the other way. You had, some of those challenging experiences, not earning a lot of money. And then despite all of that, I know you don't like courage, but you knocked on the regret door and said, "You know what, I'm going to live my life." And I think that's very important to me, and as well as everyone else, that you can live your own path.
Well, I tell people it's the thing is, we all have our free will. You have your choices, and people are going to knock you down. Teachers, parents, friends, a bunch of people are going to tell you. I mean, I would dare you to talk to anybody who's successful, whatever that means. And it's successful as anybody, I think, who's trying. People say, "When did you know you were a success?" I said, when I did it. When you got your first job, I'm like, no, it never had a monetary number. It didn't have a number. It didn't have that. It was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this. You want to be a race car driver. I'm taking the steps to being a race car driver. You're a success. You are a success. You can't put a monetary value on it. You can't do any of that stuff because it's what's in you. And again, I don't mean to try to get really too deep about it, but it's really what you consider successful. And you have to realize success is in the trying. My success is not a destination. It's the journey. It's like people say, do I think I'm successful? Well, I think some people would consider me successful. I mean, yeah, I guess I do. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. I haven't had to serve food or drinks in a long time, if that's what you consider successful. But I have a lot more I want to do. I guess I could say I'm not content. I'm happy. I'm grateful. But like, what is success? I'm like, I don't know. And I don't know if I could tell you what I think. I am successful when I blank. No, I mean, I've been successful for 30 years because I started 30 years ago. I mean, I think that's what it was. Been successful because I tried, and I was true to myself. I took a chance. It's like, they say that the house always wins in Vegas. You never lose when you bet on yourself. You will never lose when you bet on yourself. Because and I tell that with a caveat. It's like, look, you want to be an actor, go be an actor. But that doesn't mean you go and you ask your parents or friends for money because I need help, and you, man, we can't do this, man. Don't complain. Go get a job. I had 3 jobs when I got my first series. I had 2 restaurant jobs and a bartending job, and I had two restaurant jobs. One was bartending, and I painted houses during the day. So, I worked for a painting contractor. Just if you can take care of your responsibilities, you take care of your rent, your electric, your car payment, whatever you have. And if you have a little left over and you're pursuing something else, you want to be a writer, you want to be an artist, you want to be a fireman. I don't care. You're successful. That's it. We go back to the superlative. I mean, people put so much pressure on themselves to be, I got to do this in this amount of time, and I'm giving myself 2 years to see if I can get on a TV series. It's like, really? You're going to give yourself 2 years? I just got doing a new TV series that when it comes out, we can talk again if you like, but because I probably shouldn't talk about it because I was about to be announced by Deadline when the strike hit.
Yeah, I don't want you to get in trouble.
It is phenomenal with a great cast, and it's been so much fun. Shoots right here in Atlanta, and but I'm 52. I was 25, 24, really, I guess, when I was 24 when I did that play. So how long have I been? Oh, God, how long have I been? Almost 30 years, 28, 29 years.
Crazy.
So, but, there I am. And I tell my son, he's 23, and he just booked a film that he's going to be doing. And then the strike hit, so he can't talk about it, and they're going to move it till the strike's over, but he's going to do it. But, I told him, I said, I'm 52. This is my 3rd TV series. Then the second one, Pretty Little Liars, I did for a while. I said that was a recurring role where I just sort of came in and, 7 seasons, and I came in and just to prove that they had a parent living at the house. But this is the first one. But I can tell you, the series I'm doing now, this is the first one where I you feel, that like what I do matters.
Cool, good for you.
As a character, and I think it's just it's really great, and I look forward to the next thing to work. And now my big thing is I want good scripts. I want, like, what are the good roles and who's doing it? I want to work with my director friends or my other actor friends and like, hey, who else is cast? I mean, the idea to, just to be able to pick and choose, not in the same way as like a big name like Clooney or Pitt or Idris Elba gets to do. It's not like that. It's just, but just to be able to continue this journey, and because, like I said, the success is in the journey. So,
agreed.
And it's not only on camera stuff. It's like, what's the next? What kind of game are you guys doing? What did the writers Rick and Morty Lower Star Trek Lower Decks? Like, what have they written this week? I do these different things, and it's just, this is so much fun. And it's like I said at the beginning, I could not have dreamt this. Even when Mr. Fish said, "Where are they going to get you?" My thought was like, probably in detention again. I don't know, And it's a funny story when I look back on it and go, "Wow, that's," because this was never even a thought. This was not a thought at that time. Like, you could actually do this, but here we are.
So crazy, and we're going to get you as a co-host for future episodes because the way that you define success is brilliant, way better than I've ever said, and we've been doing this for a while. I agree 100%. It's it's in the doing, it's your personal journey, I love it. I'm not
Yeah.
even going to comment on it because you said it all.
Well,
You go-
I think it's important because again, you got people put too much pressure on themselves. But when it's just you and you in the mirror, it's just you and your journey. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to be okay. It's all good.
I agree.
And you just, just make the most of, live in the present. That's my biggest challenge, is just not getting too far ahead of myself or thinking about trying to stay in the moment, stay present. Because when you do that, really good ideas come, and you enjoy your journey more, because you're not caught up in what if and what was. And it's just, so that's it.
Amazing. So what we're going to do now to wrap up the podcast is a quick rapid fire segment. So the first thing that springs to mind, but if you need time to think about it, please do. Okay, where do we start? Oh, you're big on gratitude and enthusiasm. And I have a quote from you. Gratitude and enthusiasm come a long way. I'm obsessed with this. Why do you talk about it so much? What does it mean to you?
I've met a lot of people who have had privileged careers in this particular business, and I've met some of them are just, they exude confidence and kindness, and others are absolutely horrible. And it just, I can't wrap my head around somebody not being grateful for the ability to do this, to affect other people. One of the things that I learned, and this is not a rapid fire answer, but anybody can be nice, but it's more important to be kind. I was a nice guy, but somebody who's kind is just, it's almost this innate quality. And I got to be honest, I think there was times in my life where I wasn't kind to myself. I was nice to other people, but I was so wrapped up in my own head, and that I kind of ignored that. And when I kind of realization came about, I realized that I'm nothing if nobody plays these games or watches these shows or comes to a line at a convention. People, I go to conventions and they're like, "Thank you so much for coming," and I'm like, "Thank you for coming." Because I'm not invited to these unless you come to stand in a line to say hi to me and wanted an autograph or a picture. It's a two-way street. It's not, and I've seen these people who are much bigger than me just be so pompous and rude to the people who made them what they are. I think here's my gift. I was born with a serious good amount of common sense and logic, and that just doesn't make sense to me. If other people help create you and put you where you are, and you treat those people after getting there like shit, then you're shit. There's no other way around it. It's just period.
Agreed.
I digress.
No, it's very important, and yeah,
No, it's vital. Just say thank you. Just say thank you.
You know who you kind of look like? You look
Who's
like
that?
who's the guy that plays Batman in Christopher Nolan's movie? You look like him and Seth MacFarlane.
I've gotten Seth MacFarlane a couple times. I don't know, it's the eyebrows or whatever.
And
don't
what's
know.
his Christopher Bale?
His Batman?
Yeah, the
Christopher
on-screen.
Nolan's Batman?
Yeah, you look like a cross between the two when you were doing that.
Christian Bale?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm Batman.
Can you actually? I digress. I think you do the pedo on Family Guy. I heard you on another podcast.
No. I can do it though. I just do it for my friends.
Can you do that with I'm Batman?
Herbert the pervert. I am the knight. Where's Robin? Oh, got those nice spandex for him. Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't do that. Somebody else does it brilliantly. I do it for my friends, and I do.
It's such a good voice.
It's so much. It's so brutal.
Okay, the last few. What are you most proud of?
My 24-year marriage to a woman that I don't deserve, and my kids. My two boys are 20 and 23, and they are uh, in some part because of me, but mostly their mom. But they are phenomenal. They're just phenomenal young men, and yeah, yeah. That
Congratulations.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
The moment when you were honored with the BAFTA Award. What are your
Mm.
thoughts, feelings?
It's very, very special. I'm not a person who really covets awards. And I know people say that, but I really don't, because every now and then you watch them and you're like, when they say it's just an honor to be nominated on certain things. Yeah, it is. It really is. And it should be. If I were nominated for an Oscar and I lost, I still got nominated for an Oscar. That's amazing.
Hmm.
And I had been nominated for 3 BAFTAs, and I had lost. Even the year they said it's a lock. But then to have them kind of give me this special award, this almost a lifetime achievement type deal. Again, here's the thing. I don't covet awards. However, I was raised on Alec Guinness, Richard Burton, Monty Python, Fawlty Towers, Benny Hill,
Nice.
all kinds of British television and British films and actors. And, my dad was an Anglophile for that kind of stuff. He was a Shakespeare major in college. And, and he used to sit there and he's like, oh, yeah, Academy at the BAFTAs. Now that's an award. And I think it's just a father-son thing. And
Nice.
it was to be able to be presented with one, not like win the contest. It was like from BAFTA, it meant so much to me because it was the one award that I knew about a BAFTA before I knew about an Oscar. One of those, I just knew what that was, and it was, and I just think it's, it was something from my childhood that, it's just something about that was very, very special to me, and to have everybody there and to be honored that way. I remember when they called me and they said they were going to do it. I was like, I thought it was a prank. I really did. I thought it was a prank.
What an
And I was like,
asshole that
why
you-
would they? I was like, why? And I remember telling my wife, why would they do that? And she's like, you've done a lot of really good things, And I'm like, because I'm just hard on myself. I don't really think of it that way. And then they start listing, somebody else starts listing off your credits. You're like, yeah, I did that. Wow, I did that too. Oh yeah, I remember that. Go on.
And
it's
10
just
hours
like,
later. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, and I always, I don't want this to come across as like false humility. It's just, I grew up in New England where we think we're shit, and our closest friends shit on us, and that's how they love you and you can trust them. So there's a something in my DNA that, when people say you're so good at this, and I'm like, I don't trust you. It's like, what do you know? Then my friends would be like, hey, I saw your movie. You sucked. And I'm like, thanks, bud. I love you too. And you're like, it's a very strange, it's a strange thing, but it's a real thing.
Another congratulations. It's the hardest to get and well deserved. Last 2 questions.
Sure.
What would you do if you knew you cannot fail?
Well, I can't. I just keep doing what I do. I can't fail. What is failing? What does that mean? What? You try something and you're not the best at it? We've already, it's like if I can't fail, like if it's something reasonable, like, well, what, I don't know what that means. I don't know what like, I'm going to fail. Like, I don't know what that means. Like, what do you mean? Fail at what? Like, if I woke up and I said, well, I'm going to play NBA, I'm going to play for the Lakers next year. Well, you're going to fail. Well, yeah, of course, if you want to call that failure, because that's an unrealistic thing. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. But no, if you kind of, what is failing? I don't know what that, I don't kind of, like I said, there's no failure. Success is in trying something. It's not, so there's no failure as long as you try. Failure implies that you're like, well, you didn't succeed. Well, I already succeeded. It's like, like, eat those oysters, you're going to throw up. That's going to be a failure. Well, if I eat the oyster, I've already succeeded. If I throw it up, no, that's a success that I can throw it up. I don't think of things that way. And I know what you mean. And but I just don't process things that way. You try, good for you. Yeah, but I failed. Like, no, you went out and competed. If you play a sport. Yeah, but the other guy won. It doesn't mean you failed. It means he won, but you both succeeded because you competed. And that's what's at the core of sport. Hey, I want to be a painter. And I start painting and I make all these paintings. Do you sell one? No. Failed, huh? No, look at these things. I've created this art. You want one? It's beautiful. It's not. How do you define failure? I don't know what that failure would be. Not trying, not attempting something that you want to do. That's the only way you fail. I'll tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing I'm failing at. I want to play the guitar. I want to learn. Both my boys, especially my oldest, they can both play, but my oldest can shred. And he put in the hours and he practiced and he's amazing. And I've always wanted to be able to play the guitar. And I have yet to find the time. And I did it a couple times. It makes my fingertips hurt. I haven't tried yet. And there's still time. But it's like one of those things on my list where like right now I'm failing at that because I'm not attempting something I want to do. Now I'm busy and I have other things going on, but I could carve out time in my day to do that. So there.
Next time we chat, we're going to hope that you can shred like your son.
I just need to know the chords. I don't need to shred. I just want to be able to sit down and, hey, how you doing? Ding.
Agreed. I think it's awesome. Last question before we go. Before I ask how people can follow you and keep up to date with you, what is the one question I should have asked you?
What's my favorite color?
And what's your favorite color?
Blue. I don't have what question. Well, I don't know what questions. I don't have any. I'm not that interesting. You can find me on, I don't know. I'm very bad with social media. Most of the times it's just my wife's on Instagram, really Nolan North, at really Nolan, REALLY, Nolan, NOLAN, NORTH. Twitter, I'm Nolan_North. I don't have a blue check anymore. But I don't go on there much anymore because it used to be funny and clever, and now everybody just, especially in the States, everybody hates each other. It's just awful. But yeah, I guess Instagram. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so bad. You find out what I'm doing, and you tell everybody what I'm doing.
Okay. I'll put your socials in the episode notes so people can check it out. Thank you so much. You are super empowering.
It's nothing to look at. There's nothing very exciting.
I had a good look. I was scrolling through both, so I enjoyed it.
Okay. I'll try to step up my game.
Excellent. So thank you so much. You're super empowering, hilarious, I love your take on success and failure. My goodness. I'm going to plug that everywhere. You're going to see it on billboards. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for joining.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And yeah, just stay present, everybody. And sic parvis magna. Oh, I did a Nathan Drake thing.
I love Nolan's take on how we live in a world of hyperboles, where oftentimes the messaging we receive is all about being the best to succeed and thrive. Nolan is all about being your best. He gently encourages us to forget about others and to work on ourselves to grow and improve. We can't compare ourselves to others. It doesn't make any sense. There are too many variables. No one is you. No one is as unique as you and have had your experiences. The only real race worth running, so to speak, is the one with ourselves. It's also such a great stress reliever to know that the only one really in the race is you. We can just let go and focus on what needs to be done without all that external noise. So I'll leave you with this epic quote. To be successful, you must be unique. You must be so different that if people want what you have, they have to come to you to get it. Walt Disney. Thank you for listening to the Funny and Failure podcast, exploring the deeper side of comedy.